Bring the horns in. We going all in.
I was a member of the National Lawyers Guild, and we were trained by Mary Kaufman, who was a prosecutor at Nuremberg. And about 20 years after that, in 1968 or 69, Fred Hampton was killed. And we were taught how to do mass defense work. And from that point on, a lot of the jails broke up. And when Attica happened and so many people died, we sent a team of our lawyers up to Buffalo to meet with the other lawyers to get an order allowing lawyers and medical people into the jail to prevent further bloodshed and prevent further reprisals. And it took us 4 days to get in. And finally, when we got in on September 17th, 1975, I went into the prison with Kirk Taylor, a lawyer from the National Conference of Black Lawyers, and it was carnage. I can remember that people had open wounds. People were dressed in their underwear. Not all people had jumpsuits. There was no medical attention, and it was very stressful. And it was very stressful for the brothers who were receiving retaliation and routine harassment bordering on serious situations. And we also know, as we found out then, that there were no ambulance for any of the brothers that were injured. So a lot of the people died after the prison was retaken because there was no medical help for them. And thank God for the National Guard, and thank God for the medical examiners, because when we first got up there, we were led to believe that the inmates had slit the throats of the hostages and put their testicles in their mouth, which was just an unbelievable situation. So I wanted to say at first, we have a name of us, and we're called Attica is all of us. Well, why is that? Why is that? And I also wanted to say that Attica means fight back, because those two slogans go hand in glove with each other. The carnage at Attica done by the state and the state police and the correction community was so great that we had to be Attica, all of us, because everything was a life and death situation. Getting information out to the public was life and death. Getting the guards to stop beating up the people was life and death. Getting adequate medical care in there was life and death. And we developed, as a result of those circumstances, a closeness and a relationship with the brothers and the legal workers and the jury project and the lawyers that lasts until today. So that when we sit here 50 years later wondering what happened at Attica and what's happening now, it calls back the camaraderie that we had only because we needed to have that to overcome the efforts of the state and protect the health and the safety and the welfare of the brothers. I will tell you two anecdotes that I remember from those times, because don't forget, Guild lawyers, along with Herman Schwartz and Will Hellerstein, had obtained a court order on September 13th that was not followed up. And you'll hear from Emily Goodman what happened with that. And I went up with the second group 4 days later, and it was still chaos. And that it was necessary for us. So when I came into the prison, we were picked up by police at the Wyoming County, New York State line, because that's where the jurisdiction of Attica was. And the state police drove us to the prison. And outside the prison, there's a little bar where they had correction officers and state police in there. And when we went into the prison to get coffee to go inside, and I'm going to use some bad words here, we were clearly people that were going into the prison to protect the prisoners, and the National Guard and the state police and mostly correction officers, I recall, saying to us, "We shot so many in there that the cows won't give milk." So we knew from the giddy up, from Jump Street, that this was going to be a heavy experience, and that we needed to maintain our attitude, because we had prisoners to represent who were in life and death situations. The second thing that I will tell you is that the carnage that I had seen was different than anything I've ever seen before. I had done demonstrations. I had been a lawyer. I'm a red diaper baby from Queens. I was aware of the fact that the police rioted at Peekskill. My parents always told me that regarding Paul Robeson in 1948. But here it was something different. And Kirk Taylor and I had seen so much that was horrible about the retaliations and the reprisals and the wounds and the lack of food and the lack of health care, that we decided to go on our last day to drive to Niagara Falls in a rented car because we had to get someplace that was peaceful and someplace where people weren't dying and some place where they weren't being harassed. So we drove across to Canada. And as we were coming back into Canada, we got stopped by the police. It was a black man and a sort of a young hippie-ish lawyer in a rented car with no luggage. And when we told them that we were at Attica, they held that we had come to protect the prisoners at Attica. They held us for about 6 hours before they released us and allowed us to come back into the United States. So we knew from the giddy-up that this was a situation unlike any other situation that I've ever experienced, and probably unlike any experience that had happened in America since the Civil War.
Bring the horns in. We going all in.